Today we're going to be making a review over Dcuo, which is a free-to-play MMO that I used to grow up on. Which is, to describe it, it's a MMO where you can play in the DC universe, obviously, which is why it's called DC Universe online. You play in the DC universe and the DC comics with your favorite DC heroes, with your favorite powers, obviously. So certain powers are locked behind a paywall, but you can pay a $15 legendary membership if you want everything in the game unlocked and have extra space. But for free-to-play players, you are locked for certain things. So first thing you get into the game, you obviously choose your gender, which is male or female, whatever you want. Then you choose whatever height or whatever width you want, or whatever you like, however you want it to look like. Then after that, you have to choose a hero or a villain. Obviously, it's whatever you want. No difference between heroes or villains except the base and the missions afterwards. But you have the same powers, except for like one power, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. After that, you choose your power, I believe. But this is all in different orders, but you choose your power. And for free players, you have fire, gadgets, ice, mental, nature, and sorcery. And certain powers have two roles, which is like fire and ice have damage and tank. Gadgets and mental actually have damage and control. Control is one of those roles that a lot of MMO players don't really know. Controls replenish your mana while you're fighting, which are very important in this game because your mana runs out like really quickly, and you will need to be restored after a bit. Since you have to use constantly, DPS constantly use their powers, healers constantly always use their powers, and also tanks also need to use their powers a lot, which takes up a lot of mana. So yeah, that's controllers. And I believe mental and nature, sorcery and nature have healing and damage. Two of those powers may not be the right roles, but I'm pretty sure the game tells you which roles the power has. But if you have the DLC powers, which gives you atomic, celestial, earth, electricity, light. Light is Green Lantern or Yellow Lantern, which is obviously the power I was talking about, which is different for each one, but they have same exact moves. So Green Lantern obviously is hero, and Yellow Lantern is obviously villain. So that's the only difference between light. And then you have munitions, quantum, rage. One thing I have to say about rage is on both heroes and villains, which is, I believe, canon, because some rage heroes are in the story, and there are also some rage villains. And then we have water, which is the last of the DLC powers. So once you choose all your stuff you want and you make the character look how you want, you get into the game, which gives you like a little bit of a tutorial if you haven't fully played it. And then after that, I still call it a tutorial because you have to get all the way to level 30 to get to the fun part, which is what I believe is the fun part. So once you get to level 30, it's all like finey dandy, it's pretty easy. And then afterwards, you get to level 30, you hit the level cap, which is 30, but then there's also something called CR afterwards, in which the game introduces to you. CR is what's after level 30. CR is based on your armor rating, which is shown to you since the very beginning, but it was in levels. But now it's telling you, alright, CR 31, or I think it still says level 31, but it's CR. That's what it's called. And CR is based on the average of your armor rating. So if you have like everything like half level 70 and half like 67, it's gonna give you like 68 or 69 CR, depending on how much higher your armor is compared to the lower part. So after that, after level 30, and you realize you have CR, you hit the tiers. So which gives our missions that give you marks and better CR armor. Obviously, it's not always going to give you better CR armor because it's going to give you random armor, but you can improve it when you unlock it. When you unlock it, it gives you 1 CR better or like 4 CRs better, depending on how great like your highest CR of your armor is. If it's the same armor and your lower armor isn't improved, it's going to give you sometimes the same CR of the piece you have, which means you have to use your marks. Marks are what's given to you if you do side missions during level 1 through 30, which I really recommend you do. So you have like around 80 marks whenever you get to level 30, and you can use those for the weakest parts of your build, so you can rank up faster. Or you get those from the tiers, which have the missions in them. And once you do those missions, you unlock one mark for like single player missions, like 2 marks I think for duos. It might be different, and like 4 marks for like 4 players, which is what you get for like tier 1. And then tier 2 is when you get the raids, which is 8 players, and I believe it gives you higher than like 4 marks. I don't remember how many. I don't really keep track because I've played this too much, and I just do the missions and hopefully get better armor, which is what I believe you should do. Just play the missions and get better armor, and then eventually the game is going to give you the highest armor it can give you, and then just use the marks to fill in the blanks, and then your CR is going to go higher easily. That's how easy the CR system is. At least I believe it is. After that, you have tier 3, which is the same thing, just more missions and single player, duos, 4 player, and then raids, which are 8 players. And then you keep going up till tier 9, which is the limit of your free to play membership. For now, I don't know if they're gonna take that away, because they only made it till tier 9 for free to play players during this quarantine, since they only wanted to do that because a lot of people are struggling for money right now and don't really want to pay membership, don't want to pay for the episode, so they're doing that only for right now. So after a certain time, once everything goes back to normal, and if it goes back to normal, hopefully, it's gonna go back to normal to where you have to pay a membership, where you have to pay a fee to get the higher tiers and get those like I think it's tier 4 all the way to tier 10, which are limited for payments. Membership is what I used to pay for unlocking everything. So the free-to-play players are limited to those tiers, and also are limited in cash, which is limited to, I believe, 2,000, and are limited in inventory. So along the way you're gonna have to delete some stuff, but sometimes you aren't really able to unlock those. So you just delete them and you don't really care about them, because you can't unlock those because you don't have stuff from like later on in the game, or it's just too much of a hassle, and like they don't even give you something that you really care about, which is armor upgrades. But they do give you styles sometimes, and like materials that are very important to people once you get to like really high CR. So getting into that, before I get into that, there are something that I have to tell you about. There is a system called skill points, which you unlock once you hit the the level cap. You don't really, they don't really show you, but you have a bar which shows you the points you have towards getting a new skill point. Skill points are earned through feats, which are very important, because the more skill points you have, the more upgrades to your ability bonuses you have. So it like gives you more power, or more mana, or more damage. So stuff like that is very important once you get to higher CR, because for new players, while you're leveling up to level 30, which gives you like your powers, and then gives you like a certain amount of skill points once you get to level 30, it doesn't really matter to them. But what I recommend if you're a free player is you have your powers, and then you have your skill points, and then you have to use your skill points. What I recommend is for your main weapon, which you choose in the beginning of the game. So it could be a dual wield, it could be one-handed, a rifle, it could also be staff or stuff like that. I don't remember all of the weapons because it's a long list, and I actually don't use all of them. So you have your main weapon. If you're still using your main weapon, keep that, because you already have one skill point automatically placed in there and you can't remove it. I don't think you can remove it. So go to your weapon and then check your skill point tree in your weapon, and see all the way at the bottom there's 4 different other abilities that you can't unlock for some reason once you put all your skill points into your weapon. It says mastery. So for dual wield, you have a mastery with bow, which is important, because if you master your bow, so add all your skill points to your bow, you can then have mastery with your dual wield. So then you put all your skill points in bow, and then put 2 skill points in those slots. And once you put those 2 skill points in those slots, you have mastery, and it gives you 2 new combinations, which deal extra damage than your actual combinations you have before. So before you had your normal combinations, and now you have 2 more combinations, which are very important. You should use mostly only those, because those do more damage, and whenever you don't have mana for your DPS people, you can deal more damage. And then after you get mastery with your weapon, you use those skill points to there's a tree which gives you bonus attributes boost. So that gives you more power, and then it gives you more damage or health or dominance, might, or stuff like that are very important. So after that, you put your skill points in that, and that'll give you a higher damage or higher healing or a higher defense against mobs if you're a tank. So how do you get these skill points? These skill points are unlocked through feats, which are like mini challenges, or like if you want a comparison, the trophies in PlayStation games could be a good comparison for feats, because they're like little challenges in the game. But instead, in this game, the challenges give you points to feats, and once you get 100 points, you get 1 skill point. And there's thousands of feats which the game gives you to unlock points, so you can have more skill points in the end, which are very important, obviously, which I've said before. Gives you boosts. After that, after all that, that's literally almost all the game. But there is more, but I think this is a pretty good review for just the simple basics of Dcuo, and that I'd like to talk about. Obviously, I didn't talk about the styles. There's like millions of styles, which you can have your own armor, like your own CR rating armor, and still be able to use your past styles, which is like your past clothes from other armor, and still look however you want to look, and still look have your own colors and all that. You don't have to do like sprays or dyes like in Destiny, and you don't have to like sacrifice looking a certain way for certain armor, which is what I really like about Dcuo, since you have so much freedom. And also there's also stuff called I forgot what they're called, but like they change your material in your armor, which I'm not really into. I'm not really known with that, because that came during a time where I quit Dcuo because I was getting like burnt out because I was playing it so much. But I think this is where I'm gonna end it, because I think that's all you need to know. But besides that, Dcuo, great game, definitely for free to play people if you want to be introduced to MMOs. I'm gonna give this game around a rating of, from 1 to 10. I'm gonna give it around a 7, around a 7 for free to play players, because it's really limiting for free to play, because you do have to pay a lot to get the stuff you want. but once you get it, it feels very satisfying, and it feels great, since you could just pay $15 for a month and then unlock everything you want. And if you want to keep going with higher tiers, you can just pay for the higher tiers, which is like $10 permanently forever. And also this game has constant DLC coming out, so it's 3 episodes, which is like 3 DLCs per year, which is why I always pay for $15 months when everything comes out, so I can just grind everything out instead of constantly having to pay $10 for every single episode. That's it for me today. Game's really great. If you want to be introduced to MMOs, I think this is where I'm gonna end it. Next review, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be talking about Apex Legends in 2020 and why it died out, and if it's still a good game, which obviously, and if you've been watching my social media, yeah, I still believe it's a great game. I'll see you on the next one, and have a great day.